Hey Facebook, where's my Zen Heads at? Hey, you're listening to the Zen Large Show, where I give you my tips, tricks, strategies to help you to attain the Zen life so that you can walk through a firestorm and remain calm, cool, and collected and have lots of peace and harmony in your life. I'm Zen Large. My friends call me Zen. Today, I'm going to bring to you my number one strategy to attain Zen mastery. My number one strategy. So before I get to that, just some notes. You may have noticed I'm not wearing the normal gigantic headset that I normally wear. So I did have actually a smaller Bluetooth headset that I've worn in the past that I've lost and cannot find it. So I was using that giant headset. But today I decided, I'm like, I'm just going to go with the mic on my phone and hopefully the audio quality is good. So we'll see. Also, I usually have an artificial light source. I usually have an artificial light source. And today I'm going with some natural light. I've got the sun streaming in. So the video might look a little different. I'm trying it out. We'll see if it's good. If it's not up to snuff, up to what the normal Zen Large Show quality you're used to expecting, my apologies. I'm trying something new. So, all right, my number one tip for attaining Zen mastery. Process your shit. That's it. Process your shit. So I thought about actually naming the show that, Process Your Shit, but I was like, I think it's probably a better title to say my number one tip for attaining Zen mastery. So what does that mean? Process your shit. All right, so whenever you have something that is upsetting to you, so you have an experience that maybe it makes you feel angry, sad, frustrated, scared, these different things. That's an event that you should process. So what I do is at the end of each day, I sit down and I look back on my day, I look back on the last 24 hours and say, what kind of things happened today that were upsetting? Did I have anything that was upsetting to me? Did I have anything that was causing problems in my life that I would like to avoid? And then, so the first thing I do to process this is I allow myself to really feel that emotion. And first identify what the emotion is. Was it anger? Was it anxiety? Allow yourself to really feel it. Because in our society, we're told to suppress our feelings. We get that message a lot. Maybe not explicitly, but implicitly, especially as men, we're told, don't cry over that. Toughen up, whatever. Stiffen that upper lip. And if you squash your feelings, if you don't ever process them, then you're putting yourself in a situation where it's going to still keep affecting you. It's going to seep out in other ways. Where if you allow yourself to feel it, you can move on from it and not keep carrying that around with you. So maybe you've told your wife 1,000 times to not leave her coat on the floor, hang it up when you come in the door. You told your kids that. And you come in the house, the coat's on the floor, and you get angry. So you might carry that around the rest of the day and have it affect you in other ways. If you just kind of suppress it, be like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that. Like, no, allow yourself to feel that anger. Now, there's a proper way of doing it. You don't want to then go angry, and when you're angry, go confront your wife or confront your kids and yell at them or whatever. That's definitely not living the Zen life, right? That's when you're allowing your emotions to control you. And living the Zen life is about not letting your emotions control you. But that doesn't mean you don't feel them. You just find an appropriate time to express that. So I use that time at night. I sit back, look back on what was upsetting to me that day, and allow myself to really feel that fully and express it. So what are some great tools for that? So journaling is a great tool for that. You can meditate on the emotion, just sit with it. I know my good friend Anthony Samaroff, he has a lot of success with just sitting with his emotion. He just sits there and just allows himself to feel it. A lot of people really like journaling. Journaling is a great way to just get it all out. Maybe you need to vent. Really, that's the spot to really tell your wife or tell your kids or your boss or whoever it is, go to town. Let them have it in your journal, but you don't tell them that. It's like the tip where you write an email to somebody but you don't send it. You're like, man, it felt really good to write that email, but boy, I would have felt it would have been a real mistake to send it. It's a similar thing. Write that email in your journal, but don't send that email. And that's a good way to get that emotion out of you. And that, a lot of times, that's very healing in itself, just allowing yourself to feel your emotions and express them. That's a super, super healing way to handle emotions and process your shit. So, but there's another strategy that you do on top of that. So the first part, allow yourself to feel your emotions. Whatever those unpleasant emotions were, allow yourself to feel them and express them fully. The next part is evaluating the situation. Now that you've got that emotion out, now you evaluate. You don't do it in the other order. You have to allow yourself to get the emotion out first. Then you evaluate it and look at, what can be done differently for the next time. A lot of what can be done differently is like what's going on in your head. What's the story you're telling yourself? Does that story make sense? Is that story serving you? So, with the example of your kids dropping their coat on the floor, right? The story you might be telling yourself, maybe you're not thinking it at that time, but when you sit back and in the moment, you're not thinking it when the anger strikes up. But when afterwards, when you're processing it, you look and you're like, well, what was the belief causing that? What was I really thinking? And underneath it all, it might be like, my kids don't respect me. And so you look at that and say, is that really true? It's like, no, actually they do respect me. They just were being kids. This happens. They forgot when they come in. People get in habits of sticking stuff on the floor, and you're not even actually thinking about it. That's how habits work. You don't actually think about them. You just do them without thinking. It's kind of like how the car will drive itself home from work. If you've gone that way a million times, you don't have to think about it. All of a sudden, you're pulling into your driveway, and you don't know how you got there. That's how habits work. So it could just be it's habitual for them to do it. They're not thinking about it, and they need some help with breaking that habit. Maybe it's your frustrating thing for the day, your unpleasant emotion for the day was you were sitting in traffic and were pulling your hair out in traffic, right? And like, what's the underlying belief there? And the underlying belief is these people are so stupid. It's like, well, no, they're just sitting in traffic like you. Are you stupid? The person behind you is probably saying you're so stupid. Or maybe the underlying belief behind all of this is like, I'm worse off because I'm sitting in this traffic. I'm worse off because I'm sitting in this traffic. If I wasn't sitting in this traffic, I'd be better off. Well, is that true? It actually might not be true. Maybe if you weren't sitting in that traffic, if the traffic cleared, you would get an accident. But because you're in that traffic, it slows you down. You avoid the accident. You don't really know. You're making a big assumption if you sit there and say, you know what, I'm worse off sitting in this traffic. You're making a big assumption that you would be better off if you didn't have it. And you frankly don't know that. And this is true of a lot of things in life. People are often assuming the situation I'm in right now, I'm worse off in this situation. Where you may not be. You may actually be better off in that situation. And so like, why stress over it? That's when I'm in traffic and I feel myself starting to get stressed. I'm like, hey, for all I know, this is saving my life. Where if I got home early, who knows what could have happened? I could have gotten an accident pulling onto my street. I could have gotten all kinds of things could have happened, right? Now there's the processing of the belief underneath. There's a lot of strategies to do that. I don't want to go too much into all of it. I could talk for an hour, and that's not the point of the show today. I just wanted to be brief to give you an introduction to that number one tip. Process your shit. But in future Zen Large shows, I'll give you some other strategies for really digging into evaluating your beliefs, looking at your beliefs. Are they true? And how can you change those beliefs so that you have better outcomes? So the next time you come home and you find a coat on the floor or, whatever the situation is, your boss yells at you or whatever, you don't have that unpleasant experience. And one of the keys to making this all work is doing it regularly. You do it once or twice. I mean, you'll feel good in the moment. It'll feel really good to express your emotions. Trust me, if you ever sat down and do this and getting it out, it really feels good to actually do that. So that'll feel good, but it's not going to have a big impact on your life if you don't continue to do it. So it has to be something that becomes a regular part of your routine to make it a habit, like I was talking about earlier. It can become a habit to throw a coat on the floor and not hang it up. It can become a habit to do stuff like this, where maybe it's part of your nighttime routine. Maybe it's your morning routine. The first thing in the morning I get up and I reflect on what the other day was like. Whatever you need to do to make that habitual so that it happens. And that's when you start to see big changes in your life, where you start to have a lot more pleasant life, a lot less of these moments. That's the one thing I noticed when I started doing this daily is the first I do it, I would pick I'd say, okay, what happened in the last 24 hours that was unpleasant? What was upsetting? And I might have 2 or 3 things, and I'd pick the worst one and process that. Well, I found that after 6 months of doing that now it was one every 2 days. And after a couple months after that, now it's one or 2 a week where I have something that's unpleasant. And not only that, so not only are they less frequent because I'm processing my shit and getting it cleared out and attaining that Zen mastery that I'm talking about, but they're also how bad it gets tends to not be as bad. So now I might once or twice a week have something happen that's upsetting that I process. But it's kind of minor. When I look back, it's I was kind of sad about how that situation turned out. Where in the past, when I was getting 2 or 3 of these a day, there would be the emotions would be much more intense, much more unpleasant, much more serious situation to deal with. But it's just the more you do it, the more you get your head on straight, the more you attain that Zen mastery, the less of this unpleasantness you have in your life, the more peace and harmony you have. It starts to have ripple effects out throughout your life. People around you act differently. They show up differently because you're showing up differently. So really super powerful. Make it a habit. You can set a recurring event in your calendar so that you get a notice on your phone. Hey, at 9 o'clock each night, I'm gonna look back over my day and go through this process, right, or whatever. That's a great tool for doing that, to help making something a habit, to make it part of your routine, is to make a recurring event in your calendar that sends you a notification. So try it out. Let me know. I'd love to hear how it works for you. And again, in future shows, we're going to start diving into some other strategies that you can use when you're sitting down as part of your daily routine to process your shit. That I'll give you some more strategies to help you really fine tune this and get really good at it. So, all right, I hope that was helpful to you. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a share. All that stuff's great. Let's see. Since last we talked, I think I put out a new music video. So if you haven't got a chance to listen to Afraid of Me, if you go to the Zen Large page, there's a new song there that I put up. It's also on my YouTube page. Go there, give it a like, give it a share. I'm counting on you, Zen Large Nation, to bring this home for me, to help me grow and to help me reach other people and bring them that Zen life. I want everybody to have this. So, all right, take care.